Hello. Did you know that the people who work for Facebook have a motto, and the motto is nothing negative? And that may be not exactly verbatim, but I've read some articles about this motto and how important it is. And it sounds very cliche, like don't say anything negative, don't think anything negative, don't draw anything negative into your life in that way. But it's actually a little bit deeper than that. The Facebook algorithm works on what you look at, like, and what you are paying attention to. So if you're looking at things and thinking about things that are negative, we say in life that's what you attract. The algorithm in Facebook actually does that. Like, it's not just this sociological theory or this philosophy. That's what it does. Like, so it was kind of shocking to some people when I was explaining this to them, because not everybody has a little bit of technical knowledge. We start to sort of understand that as we grow, but it doesn't necessarily get into our brain. But if you know somebody, for instance, who is really into, like, I don't know, dogs, they will have so many different things to post about dogs and about different stories and different pictures and different things like that, because that's what they're constantly looking at on Facebook. So more of that is pushed towards them if they think of it. So it's the same way with negative things. That's how the hypnosis in social media can occur. Like, that's part of what begins and continues the hypnotic state that people get into when they look at their reality based on their social environment, that is a media social environment and not a real social environment. So if you go out in the real world and you talk to 100 people, and I've done this, like I talked to quite a few people in the actual real world, and I could probably count out of 100 people on one hand those who actually believe that we're in the midst of this great pandemic where everybody's going to die. And this is just one philosophy that I'm going to point out. The reason that it got so easily accepted into the minds of the people is because as they looked at it and paid attention to it, there became two sides to the coin that were true. One, people get sick and people die, and we need to be very cautious of that, and that's true. But two, the information is received in a way that maybe it's never been received in history. And again, within that, there's another 2 points. As people looked at it, as people paid close attention to it, more of it was fed to them, because that's what they were clicking on. And as developers, people who put out content saw this happening, they're like, wait a minute, we can make a whole bunch of money right now. All we got to do is start pumping out articles about this all the time. And people will just keep looking at it because that's what they want to see, and keep clicking and keep clicking and keep clicking. And that's what they're going to think about all the time. And we get to make all this advertising dollar for people that go into our system and see these things. And so we're going to keep pushing it for that reason and that purpose. And so there's a sinister side to it. Or maybe there's a really deep sinister side to it, which, obviously there's a lot of conspiracies around a lot of different things. But there's a sinister side to it that's monetary, that you might be missing, which is fueling the actual emotional state within your brain and your being that says this is a reality and this is actually happening, and it's just present all the time. And then the real interesting part about where we are in the universe is we have manifested that out into society, like in a different way. Like, we've pushed it where people are pushing that really kind of media frenzy into reality. I saw in the very beginning of this pandemic a guy who's on my friends list, and he's always posting some of the coolest things, like, because he's just sharp. He put this thing out there, and if he watches the video, he might know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to name drop. But he posted a meme, and it said, we want to believe in this virus. We want to believe in this virus. Give us this virus. And something like that, something to that effect. And as you watched it unfold, or at least for me, that's sort of what I saw happen. And granted, that goes into part of my program. I'm programmed to sort of, I don't know, in some ways buck the system and say, I don't believe everything you're selling me. But I'm also a salesman. Like, I sell things, high ticket items. I can sell in-person stuff. You know, I know how to do that. I know the philosophy behind it, and I've done it very effectively in my life. And so in some ways, I'm an easy sell. Like, that makes me an easy sell because I have this, I know someone's going to sell me something cool and I want to buy it. And that's sort of another part of the psychology behind sales too. Like, remember that we can think about a lot of different things here. But a lot of people, most of the masses of people, they're not really understanding how sales oriented they are. So they're being rolled over by information that they receive. They're being put unknowingly into a hypnotic state that says, this is what you're going to think, how you're going to think, and how you're going to accept it. And then they participate in that. The participation is when I actually want to see it. I push the button to see more about it. And you can do that in a good way, or you can do that in a bad way. And my encouragement is that you realize and understand that if you do that in a good way, your life is going to manifest out those good things. It may not happen in 1 second, but it could. It may not happen in 10 minutes, but it very well could. But it will certainly happen as long as you continue to push the right buttons and look at the right things. I mean, it's just a fact. It's a fact of in the algorithm that Facebook created, and it's a fact that programming in your brain will help you to see it out in the real world, and that you will actually start to draw it into you from the real world, because this is sort of another guy that is really, I like a lot of things he says this is a game. This is a game. Like, it's a very important game, but it is a game. And in this game, we get to determine what we think about, what we see, what we believe, and what we do. Nobody else should have the right to determine that for you. You can choose to side with people, or you can choose to side against them, or you can choose to play your own game and see who's in that game with you. And that's what I've sort of, determined over the course of this. And I've gone through a lot of different things to get to this point. Recently, I'm not talking about life, but recently I've gone through a lot of different ways of thinking to realize that I'm going to play my own game. And as I play, the people who are a part of that game, they just sort of pop up. And I'm like, yeah, you got it. You're one of them. Let's do something together that's cool. Let's do something together that's good. And that's how you change the world. Think what you want. That's how you change the world. Good luck to you, folks. Have a fine and wonderful day.